Hey everybody, it's Double B Billy Boudreaux, aka Wrestle Gamer, back on the WGS YouTube channel with another installment of WGS-TV. Impact Wrestling. Very interesting program this week, I have to, if I do say so myself. We open up with Sting. Now, on the opening, having Sting come out, my initial reaction was that we're going to have another promo, Sting, Hogan, Bound for Glory. And if you guys listen to WGS Radio, you currently have an inkling of my feelings towards that match. If you don't, I could sum it up very quickly. In 4 words, actually. It's gonna be bullshit. But anyway, he throws a complete swerve, and he calls out Bobby Roode. And let me say this, scripted or not, to get put over on any audience by a guy such a huge name like Sting, that is huge for anybody's career. Whether you're starting out or whether you've been in this business, Sting, they call him the insane icon, but look at the second word of that name, icon. He is an icon in the business, and to have someone like that put you over is just, that's pretty much saying like Sting's passing the torch to Bobby Roode in a sense. Now, I don't know. I don't necessarily think that's exactly what happened, but what we saw was basically Sting putting over Bobby Roode on the crowd. So maybe in a sense it could be looking at maybe Sting passing the torch to Bobby Roode. You never know. But then pretty much what he did, and then AJ Styles came out and pretty much did the same thing because they were set to have a one-on-one match. I'll talk about that when I get to it. But then we have Kurt Angle, and of course we got the round of boos and everything like that. And Kurt Angle trying to throw in his mix. AJ, if you beat Bobby Roode tonight, you're next in line for a shot and stuff like that. I really thought it was a good opening segment, to be honest with you. New thing I'm going to start throwing in here is scores on each segment and angle, guys, and just based on what I saw, I'm going to give the opening segment I'm going to go with 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was really good. Then we had one of my all-time favorite kinds of matches, and that's a ladder match. And not just any kind of ladder match, a ladder match involving the X Division stars. X Division stars. You had Brian Kendrick, Alex Shelley, Jesse Sorensen, Kid Cash, and Zelma Ion, if I'm saying that correctly. If I don't, I'm just going to make myself sound like an idiot over and over again in this video. I really loved the innovative uses in this match. I mean, at one point, it looked like we saw the flatliner from Alex Shelley onto Ion, but instead he went headfirst into the ladder. We saw we saw a Kid Cash DDT Sorensen into the ladder. Ion had a really good drop kick on, I think it might have been Shelley. Yeah, I think it was Shelley in that match. He got good extension on that. I thought it was, good execution, good timing by both guys, I'll tell you that. And then we ended up with Brian Kendrick getting the contract and becoming the #1 contender for the X Division title. Yeah, that's what the ladder match was. If I neglected to mention that, I do apologize. 5 out of 5 on this match, bar none. This was a wonderful match. Big fan of not only the X Division. For once, I'm actually glad they're utilizing them properly. And in this ladder match, they were very well utilized, in my opinion. But with the way, you had so many people in there, Kendrick, you had Shelley, Sorensen, Cash, Ion. It was really difficult to see which way it was going to go. I didn't think it was going to go with Zelma Ion because, to be rather frank, he's not involved in anything right now. I didn't think it was going to be Kid Cash and Jesse Sorensen because they're probably going to be involving those two in the angle just based on what they did the previous week on Impact. Alex Shelley and Brian Kendrick were the 2 wild cards, in my opinion, because, you couldn't go with Shelley because, Austin Aries and Shelley have had problems, problems, but so is Brian Kendrick, and they really came up with a new name. I've never heard him addressed like this before on Impact Wrestling, but he was called the Wizard of Odd. Maybe it's just me, but that was the first time I ever heard it. And then we have apparently a new situation, a new rivalry story starting in Impact Wrestling between Jeff and Karen Jarrett and Frankie Kazarian and Tracy Brooks. You know, it all boiled over the fact of Kazarian mouthing off to Karen Jarrett because Karen Jarrett was mouthing off to Tracy Brooks. Frankie Kazarian, you're a lucky bastard. You get to go out with Tracy Brooks. Anyway. Next thing you know, they start exchanging words left and right. Next thing you know, we have a big brawl between all four. And I mean it because Karen Jarrett and Tracy Brooks are getting into it. And then Gunner comes out and gives Kazarian the F5. Pretty much ending that. So I'm basically thinking right now, at Bound for Glory, we're going to have a mixed tag match. You know, Kazarian and Tracy Brooks versus Jeff and Karen Jarrett. You know, it's possible. You know, we could be looking at that. I mean, that would be the ultimate way to, cultivate this feud. As it Bound for Glory. You know, put them in a tag match. You know, that's how you tell the story. Have them in a match. And what better way to have them in the match than the biggest pay-per-view of the year for Impact Wrestling? Bound for Glory. 4 out of 5 on this segment. I thought it was... even though it was a good segment, I thought it was just a little drawn out. You know, it kind of felt like, yeah, we know it. You gave him a chance, and then you fired, and you gave her a chance, and you let her come back and stuff like that. You don't need to repeat it over and over again, and I really didn't think that helped sold the segment over. I think what really sold the segment over is the fact that the entire thing is, revolving around Karen Jarrett and Tracy Brooks, and then Jeff Jarrett steps in, then Kazarian steps in, and next Jeff is saying words about Tracy Brooks, and then they start fighting, and that's how the whole thing blew up. So we're either going to be looking at a singles match between Kazarian and Jarrett probably next week, and we probably will see a mixed tag match. Jeff and Karen Jarrett versus Kazarian and Tracy Brooks. Now, I'm not saying it's definite. I don't have dirt sheets. I don't have access to all, spoilers and stuff like that. No, I'm going on assumption. And that's how I do a lot of my stuff, is on assumption. So I'm going to assume that we're going to have a mixed tag match at Bound for Glory between these four based on what happened tonight on Impact Wrestling. Now, we were scheduled to have Hernandez and Jesse Neal. They played over the fact that Jesse Neal had a neck injury that sidelined him since May. And then we, basically, it was a role reversal. Last week we had, Inc. beating up Mexican America in a tattoo parlor. And then they showed the part where it looks like he was going to get a tattoo. And that was it. And then this week, it was kind of reversed. Mexican America, right before the bell even sounds, they come out during Inc.'s entrance, and they beat the crap out of him. Now, I'm going to downgrade this to probably a 3.5 out of 5. I've said it on WGS Radio. I'm not a fan of Mexican America. I love Sarita and Rosita. They are gorgeous. But Mexican America, I'm going to say this right now. I will never be sold on them as a tag team. Never. Never. If I want to see Hernandez in a good tag team, I'm going to pull out Classic TNA and watch him and Homicide and Conan as the LAX. LAX was by far a better tag team. My neck's bugging me a little bit. That's why I'm doing that. Anyway, it's not about my health. It's about what I have to say. Anyway. LAX will by far be a better tag team than Mexican America will ever be. They were more impactful than Mexican America. Even though Mexican America, they do have the TNA World Tag Team Championships, and they're trying to push them over as a good heel tag team, but it's just not selling for me. It's just not. So that's why I downgraded. And plus, the fact is, No, we never see the ink. We never saw the ink that, supposedly went on Anarchia. Never saw it. So, I know we're all curious to see, what kind of ink did Anarchia receive from Jesse Neal and Shannon Moore. We never saw it. So that's the other reason why it's such a low score, such an average score, 3.5 out of 5. It wasn't really nothing special. I think the only reason why this is above average was the fact the way the segment was ended. It was with Hernandez doing his top rope dives. Not too many guys his size. He was like about 6'3", 6'4", and he's like close to 300 pounds. And the dude flies like a cruiserweight. He reminds me a lot of Mike Awesome. The way Mike Awesome used to be. Mike Awesome was like 6'7", 6'8", and around the 300-pound range. And the dude flew around like he was a cruiserweight, like he was a lightweight. So, that's the only way. Now, we had Madison Rayne versus Tara in the Queens qualifier. And before, I guess to put over this match more, they had like a history, a segment history, the Tara losing to Madison Rayne and the knockouts versus your career match, and then they had Tara coming back, helping Madison Rayne, and then months and months later, Tara's had enough, and then at Sacrifice, Mickie James wins Tara her freedom, and then they show another match between Tara and Rayne where Tara wins, and also had her Spider Poison. So we had this match, and might I say, they had Rayne come out in camo tights, I guess you can call it, setup gear. And they had Tara in very interesting new ring attire, Spider-Man top, and kind of combination the usual bottoms you would see, but with a skirt, in a sense. I don't know how else you call it. But I must say, Tara was, wow, smoking. I don't care what anybody else says. You cannot deny the fact that tonight on Impact Wrestling, Tara was just absolutely amazing. But, now throughout this match, I noticed something, Rayne playing up on Earl Hebner. First off, Earl Hebner, you get this, because you had a hot woman like Madison Rayne feeling you up inside the ring, in front of all these people, so you get another one of this, and then another one of this, and another one of this. Because, why couldn't it be me? Why can't I have that kind of luck? Anyway, and, it's, pardon me, I'm a little, anyway. Madison Rayne was feeling up Earl Hebner. Again, fuck you, Earl Hebner. Anyway. Throughout the match, entirely to try to get her on her side during the match to help her win. And then at one point, Earl Hebner caught her. He thought the entire time that he's getting smacked around a little bit and stuff like that. He thought it was Tara. He found out that it was, moving my table just a wee bit. It was it was Tara. She thought, let me start over. Since I can't talk because I'm thinking about Tara in that Spider-Man outfit she was wearing. Or Spider-Girl outfit, or whatever. See, that's how blankety-blank my mind is right now. Anyway, as I'm being laughed at by everybody on YouTube, Earl Hebner was being felt up by Madison Rayne throughout the entire match, and at one point, when Tara had control of her in a headlock, she was smacking Earl Hebner from behind, and Hebner thought it was Tara. And at one point, she tried that thing again, but she got caught by Hebner. Hebner said, "Go at it, I don't care." And next thing you know, Madison Rayne rolls up Tara and has her feet on the ropes, steals the victory, and advances in the Queens qualifier. I've said it before, and I said it. I'll say it. I'll constantly say it again. Knockouts are far better to watch. Much more entertaining to watch than the WWE Divas. 4.5 out of 5. I deduct a half a point because I now fucking hate Earl Hebner for life because he got felled up by Madison Rayne. I'm not saying anything more than that, but anyway. We had a segment involving, the return of Crimson, in his ongoing quest to fight the fattest man on the planet, Samoa Joe. I mean, the world's... Never mind. I apologize if I offended any of Joe saying, "Don't eat me!" Anyway, they're trying to, intensify the feud between these two, and next thing you know, Joe says something along the lines that, if Crimson's gone, who's going to be his bitch? Next thing you know, Crimson jumps out, spears the ever-loving crap out of Joe, and then next thing you know, Joe takes control, kicks him in the nuts, and then puts him, throws him in the ring, then puts him in that weird figure 4 ankle lock thing that we saw him with Matt Morgan in that submission match. And speaking of Matt Morgan comes out. Joe looks like he has an utter fear on his face, either that or he defecated in his tights. And he ran out screaming, the typical heel thing. So apparently now they're using this angle to turn Joe heel. Because, as of late, he's just really been neutral, he wasn't face, and he wasn't heel, and he really didn't know what to do with them. So now they're going to use this angle to turn him heel. And apparently now we had, respect between Crimson and Matt Morgan. I'm going to go with 4 out of 5. It was good to see Crimson back on the, not only that, but it was good to see him that he can actually cut a promo. I mean, he's physically gifted in the ring. He can perform inside the ring, but I really wanted to hear his mic skills, and we heard it the week before in that interview we had with Mike today, and we really heard some good mic skills out of him tonight. Joe, besides having to peel his fat ass away from the buffet bar backstage, to get him to cut a promo and actually do something that involves sweating other than eating. Yeah, I should talk anyway. Joe knows how to cut a promo. He knows how to cut a good promo, and for what it's worth, he's okay inside the ring. Not like he used to be in Ring of Honor, though, I'll tell you that. Pope and Mr. Anderson. Now, this was a really waste of my time match, to be honest with you. I didn't find anything entertaining out of it. Pope, at one point he was getting a good push. He was like rising and rising and then plummeted. I mean, look what they're doing now. He really can't hold his own anymore. Oh, he can't get over on the crowd by himself anymore. So now they have to involve him in Devon and his sons. And apparently in an angle they're working now. I'd like to know where they're going to go with it. We hear that Devon is training his sons, but give me a freaking break. I mean, I think the sole purpose was, one, to waste everybody's time, because it wasted my time, and two, to basically put over, it wasn't anything, they didn't put over Pope or Devon, well, they did, they kind of put over Pope, Devon, and his sons, but to be honest with you, nobody really cared. What was more significant, what grabbed everybody's attention was the fact, while the referee was distracted, Bully Ray comes up from behind and knocks out Ken Anderson with a kendo stick, which garners Pope the victory because the referee never saw it. Pope went in and got the 3 count. See, what was really more significant was the thing with Anderson and Bully Ray. Now, albeit they're trying to do something with Pope, Devon, and his sons, but to be honest with you, nobody's really giving a shit. And to be honest with you, neither am I. 3 out of 5. 3 out of 5 on this match. Then the main event, Bobby Roode, AJ Styles, match of the night. 5 out of 5. A really entertaining match that, I thoroughly enjoyed it, seeing 2 great superstars, 2 great performers, such as Bobby Roode and AJ Styles, going one-on-one. I really thought it was an amazing match. 9 times out of 10 when you see AJ Styles perform the Pele kick, he hits. He missed on this one, and then Bobby Roode put on the crossface and got the submission victory. So I really think that Bobby Roode's getting a really great push, and not only to get pushed by Sting, but to get put over. Get it put over by Sting, and now to get put over by AJ Styles, who's really a big name in TNA and Impact Wrestling. That's huge for Bobby Roode's career. Really huge. I really think it's a good move, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do next week with Roode and AJ Styles. especially considering the fact the situation they're trying to put him in with Daniels. Which, speaking of which, I did think they announced a match between those two in Bound for Glory. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know if I heard it correctly or not. So, if you guys did, please correct me if I'm right or wrong. So, then we had Hulk Hogan's major announcement, which was, the big talk. Now, Hogan, being the intelligent individual that he is, if you guys haven't heard the news already, he kind of spoiled what he was going to do by tweeting it out on Twitter. I mean, there is such a thing as a spoiler. There's also another thing, such a thing as being an idiot. Hulk Hogan, after being over 30 years in the business, did something idiotic. And you think he would know better than to spoil a story on the internet. And he did that. He did that. Now people are saying, oh, it's work. No, what they're doing on TNA, I believe, is a work. Hogan spoiling the storyline, that's legit, because Hogan, now, I will grant it, he not only is a big name in the business, but, he's went through so many trials and tribulations over the past several years, involving his family, involving his wife, involving his kids and stuff like that. But to do something, so idiotic after being in the business for as long as he have, I really thought Hogan would have known better than to spoil a storyline on the internet. But he did. He did. Now, it's still up for grabs whether, the fact that Hogan is leaving is legit or not. Now, that's still up for discussion. I still honestly believe it's a work. It's a storyline that TNA is planning to do involving Hogan and Sting, possibly to keep Hogan from doing the actual Sting match. And if they really do it, then I might tip my hat to TNA, because we don't need to see Hogan versus Sting. As much as the TNA marks want to see Sting versus Hogan, we don't need to see it. If you want to see, I'm going to tell you this right now, I've said it 1,000 times, guys. If you want to see a great Sting versus Hogan match, and they weren't that many. But if you want to see a good Sting Hogan match, Starrcade 1997. Starrcade 1997, the epic encounter they had. We don't need to see it at Bound for Glory. These two, even though they're huge names and I have a lot of respect for them, they're not young. They're not young. They can't keep doing this. I mean, look what happened at Flair. He did one match without his walker, and now he's got to have surgery. I believe it's on his triceps, I believe. We don't need to see it, and I hope to God we don't see it. So, you guys have my thoughts. You have my reviews on Impact Wrestling. What I want to know is what you thought of Impact Wrestling. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/TheWrestleGamer. Also, don't forget to check out my new blogging site. It's something I'm starting to dabble in, combination of all the video blogs you see on here that I do, and WGS Radio is on there, and various, text blogs, of my thoughts, that's either like non-wrestling or non-video gaming, or something you don't normally see me make a video about. I'll have like a text blog about it, But you can see it on there. It's at WrestleGamer.blogspot.com. And also, don't forget, at this time of this video, we're at 300. I'm at 390 subscribers. When I get to 400, I'm saying, notice I'm saying when, not if, when, because it's going to happen. I honestly believe it's going to happen. When we get to 400 subscribers, I will have a shoutouts video. So tell your friends, tell anybody that you know that if you're a fan of mine, and you're a fan of GCW, LCW, WGS Radio, the gameplay videos, or you just really like seeing me here on the YouTube, tell them to subscribe, and I promise you, when we get to 400 subscribers, there will be a shoutouts video. So with that being said, I'm Double B Bujo. Thank you very much for watching.